Hey guys, so it's been snowing and freezing and winter here for the past 3 or 4 days, and now it looks like we have spring again. So I figured I'd give you a little peek at what happened and just chat. So as you can see, the snow that had melted came back, and the lettuces that I got a little too eager about planting have been outside through all of that. And there are birds. I don't really want to disrupt the birds too much, but we do have to share the garden. They keep wondering why I'm in their house. So I've had some what could be chipping sparrows, but I suspect are song sparrows, and some dark-eyed juncos as well. Let's have a look. Okay, so these lettuces, they look really bad, right? And they've been hit by -4 a couple of times. But actually at their centers, this is obviously damaged. But these are actually going to be okay. And this lettuce is going to be fine. Again, outer leaf damage from mostly from the snow, actually, because they got covered in about 3 inches of snow. So where it's been in contact with the snow for a long period of time, that's where the most damage has been done. But the centers of them is actually still alive, and they will continue to grow. So that's exciting. I thought they were gone. I know they can handle a pretty good frost. I would say -6 probably if they're hardened off in the fall. In the spring I wasn't sure because they hadn't had that cold of a snap yet. And with the snow, I wasn't sure either how that would affect things, but let's have a look at the greenhouse. So it's been a little cool in here, and now it's warming up again. And my glasses have just totally fogged up, but we had kept all our plants under this cover with 2 heaters going in order to keep them all from freezing, and we've been able to keep it above 11 degrees under that cover. My thermostat's set for 18, and the one heater is just on all the time. So that seems fine. It didn't actually freeze in here. Oh, let me look at this. So this little black mark on this side shows you how low it got, and last night outside it was -4, so we're at my +6, 7 in here, so that's pretty good. So it's retaining some heat. Granted, the heaters are doing a lot, so yeah, it's a bit of a mess because I was staining in here before the snow, and then we had to move all the plants really quickly, so it's a bit of a mess. So there we go. Looks like the plants have all been doing pretty well. I'm going to now move them all back out onto, I'm just going to spread them out. And I'm going to actually, I think, fold up the cloth, or the plastic, and I'm going to fold up the cloth as well, and move some of the plants over there. I think if we look at the forecast and it's looking good, I think the onions are going to go outside this week as well. They can also handle a pretty decent frost, and even if the leaves die back, they will come back from the bulbs as long as the bulbs aren't damaged. And I think they could probably handle at least a -5 without too much damage to the leaves. So that's the plan, and I'm gonna show you a little bit of video once I've got it all rearranged. But I think that's what we're doing for today. Hey guys, it is time to separate my pumpkins. I germinate them in trays like this with several seeds in each pot, so that I can put them all on one heat mat. And then as soon as they start having real leaves, I want to transplant them out. And I'm actually going to transplant them into this tub, and I'm just going to show you how I do that. This might be a little bit difficult to do one-handed. Essentially, this is my tag. And one of the reasons I want to put them in this box instead of in lots of individual pots is because the pots are expensive and annoying to fill and stuff. And this is a good way for me to very quickly get a lot of pumpkins started and in dirt. So as you can see, this soil is quite dry. I've been letting them get a bit dry. It's a little bit easier to separate them when the soil is dry. You can just sort of fluff. Just gonna shake excess soil out here, and then, like I do with everything, just gonna very gently tease these roots apart. Now I've heard so many people on YouTube and other places say that you can't transplant pumpkins, that they don't handle transplant well, that they don't like their roots messed with. I have done this several times over the years and I've never had a problem. The issue with transplant shock for me always comes with the heat and cool of the year. So what I've done here is I've germinated them, and they've been alive and in the world for about a week. I would have actually done this sooner if it wasn't so miserably cold outside. And they're a little bit longer than I would like them to be because they didn't have as much sunlight, even though they had lights on them at the time. So I'm just going to make little pockets. Hopefully I'm getting this all on screen. So put the root in the bottom, and I'm being careful not to break the stem because that will kill them. So I'm just trying to carefully bend the stem into the hole so that they're a little bit deeper. For me, the transplant shock has always come in the difference in temperatures and soil temperature. So one of the ways that you can prevent that transplant shock is to make sure that the soil is nice and warm before you actually plant them out in the garden. I like to wait for at least 20 degrees in the pumpkin patch before I either seed or plant, because they won't germinate in soil cooler than that, and they don't handle it well. The other thing I highly recommend, and I've only ever had luck with if I actually used row covers, fleece is preferable, but thick plastic will work. And you're basically creating a little greenhouse environment for them where the temperatures are more stable and they don't shock quite as badly. As far as the roots being handled, as long as you're careful with the stem, I've never had an issue with them not responding well to transplanting. It's always about the temperature. So with these guys are going to go straight into the greenhouse, and I'm actually going to try and set them outside on any warm-ish days, because they're so young they haven't really acclimatized to anything except for the stability of this temperature, and they haven't gotten past their seed leaves yet. So I'm going to want to have them in cooler temperatures right off the get-go, and that'll help them not to shock quite so badly. And then what I do here, I'll just make a little trench with my hands. And I know I pointed that one's roots that way, so I'm not cutting off anybody's roots when I'm doing this, but it does make it a little bit easier to separate the varieties when I get out into the pumpkin patch to transplant them. So these are all the candy roasters, and then this next row will be another variety. We'll maybe do the butternut squashes here, and they might take up 2 rows, in which case I'll just leave the tag here, do a row, make a trench, and fill this one as well. And then those 2 rows are just, so I just read from left to right the way I do when I'm reading, and that's how I sort of arrange my tags. But I'm gonna get back to doing this. I've got many left to go. I might need a couple more tubs, but I'll see you at the end. So it's been a day, and we've got most of everything set up in here. Got these onions, the giant onions. I just uprooted them yesterday, put them in here, let them soak. I'm going to plant them out in the garden today where they're going. And I was going to show you the end of that pumpkin transplanting. You can see most of them are doing really well. They've actually been out in the sun for the last 2 days in a sheltered spot, and now they're in the greenhouse here. So when they were outside, it was pretty well overcast, at least 60 to 70%. So they didn't get too much burn, but you can see there's a little bit of sort of dryness and veining and stuff, and that's just the difference in wind and ambient temperature and stuff like that. So they're not too stressed out. They seem to be recovering fine. and they look really good. So yeah, basically I am working on getting ready for the plant sale and the open greenhouse day. I want to have most of the stuff moved out of the middle so we can actually put some chairs in here and sit down and chat. And I'm going to do a bit of a series on the tomato varieties that I have and what they're like, and just sort of walk through them one at a time. I'm not sure if I should make that one long video or a whole bunch of really short ones. Let me know down in the comments what you think. As always, I'm happy to talk to you, and I appreciate you for watching, so we'll see ya.